DDG episode 6. Coming to you from both of us are very tired from post retail Black Friday life. My name is Dave Hunt. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by Michael Swick, the freshly cut Michael Swick.
I got a haircut. I'm a new person, but I'm still dead inside because it's a Black Friday.
For those of you that don't know, Michael and I both work in retail, and it is post Thanksgiving, which meant that both of our stores I think were open on Thanksgiving night,
Yep.
and very early on Black Friday, and then the weekend. At least for me, the weekend seemed to calm down a little bit. Saturday and Sunday kind of went back to a little bit more semi-normal days, but trying to keep track of keep up with some things that were going on for Black Friday from a gaming perspective while working was challenging. And I had late nights. I had a very, very late night Wednesday, a very early morning on Friday with Thanksgiving sandwiched in between, and then working another couple of days. So I seem to have contracted some kind of cold or just dry throat sinus problems. So if I sound a little worse than I normally sound, I apologize.
Yep. And I'm just coming off working several 10-hour shifts. I'm super tired, but I wanted to record, wanted to do this live, so we're
probably
here for
won't.
you guys.
Yeah, it probably won't be a very long show this week, just because there is almost no news, and with us working a lot, it's a holiday week, so there wasn't a ton of stuff going on in general in the gaming world because most companies shut down. Maybe they might have something going on Monday and a half day Tuesday, and then a lot of people they allow them to spend their time with family. So we will get into it. If you are listening for the first time, thank you so much for checking it out. We are Digital Days Gaming. We are on our 6th episode. We are 1 month old today, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, that worked out like really well, actually.
So today we launched November 1st, and obviously the day of the show is December 1st that we're recording, and we also live stream the show, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, where you can watch the show every Sunday night, 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. That's just when we're able to. Twitch replays are there, and then the podcast itself posts on Thursdays at Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern. So if you are able to subscribe, please subscribe. If you're able to leave us a review, that would be much appreciated. A lot of you have done that already, and it's helping as our numbers continue to climb and newer episodes do better than previous episodes, which is always encouraging to see. And we've hit a couple milestones already that I think Michael and I were both a little bit surprised that we hit as early as we have. So that's a huge thank you to you guys for sharing the show, leaving reviews, telling your friends about it, all that fun stuff. Thank you. And then on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. We are an affiliated Twitch channel, so you are able to use subscriptions on us. If you picked up Amazon Prime for Black Friday, you can merge it with your Twitch account, and you get something called Twitch Prime. And Twitch Prime allows you to get one free sub a month. So if you choose to use that sub on us, that was greatly appreciated. 17 of you have done that already, and that's huge. It's another way to support. Some of those are paid subs, but you can also do paid subs to us as well for $4.98, 99 cents. And there's different tiers in there too. We're still working on some of the emotes. As we have mentioned before, Michael and I are kind of going into a very, very busy season for us, real job-wise. So if you guys could just keep throwing money at us, so maybe next year we don't do this. That would be awesome and appreciated. So we're still working on some emotes and some sub badges and a few other bits and pieces to improve the Twitch streams and the overall podcast. Like one of the things that Michael has mentioned to me that we are going to work on the live stream is getting chat on live stream and on the YouTube video, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming, is for the chat to show up on the video feed, so that if we reference chat, which we try to do very rarely, but when it fits, we do. A viewer that's watching the video on demand or the YouTube replay would see what's going on in terms of like where the questions are coming from. So if you're hanging out in the Twitch chat, thank you. If you're watching on a Twitch replay, we appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to leave a sub and hit the bell and all that fun stuff, so you know that when we post the show. I feel like we will get some more video content going in January. I've got a couple ideas for some things I need to do, but it all takes time, and myself and my wonderful editor, my wife, is still learning more things about Adobe Premiere and making our lives easier. So she's done a good job. And the final thing is patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. There will be a small revamp to that that's going live this week. We are going to bump the early access up to the $5 tier, and we're going to bump it up to the 48-hour mark. So that probably will you'll see the Patreon changes this week to the tiers, and when we change them, we'll tweet them out, and then if you choose to partake in those tiers, it'll probably be, I would say, episode 8 before you really see it take effect, just to make sure we can get all the the bells and whistles taken care of and all of the T's crossed. But thank you to the great Patreon support that we've gotten already. So I don't have the whole thing in front of me. Michael and I are going to work on rewording the tiers, but we'll take like a screenshot on the mobile device and put it in the Facebook group and then on Twitter to show you guys the different tiers. Discord is still a work in progress. There's just a lot of moving pieces that have taken effect in the last 30 days, and the negative days while we were building DDG. So. All right, just getting to the show. You said you have a news item, right?
Yeah, we got one news item. Okay. The video game industry mostly shut down this week, so there just really wasn't a lot going on. There's the little stuff here and there, but important things, or everything's important to someone. But the big news-wise, the only thing that I could really find during this holiday week, because a lot of the game companies are US-based, so they took the week off. And the story I found is Codemasters are buying Slightly Mad Studios. So Codemasters is known for all the racing games pretty much, like F1. They purchased Slightly Mad, and that is the developer of Project Cars. They apparently are paying $30 million for the acquisition. Codemasters clearly has the money, and the Project Cars games have been pretty serious racing games, kind of fitting right in there with the Forzas and the GT sports for this gen. So this is just another acquisition from the Codemasters, who have acquired some studios over the years, and they're just adding another racing studio to their lineup. And what made this interesting is earlier this year, the Slightly Mad CEO announced that they're making the Slightly Mad Madbox, which was going to be their console that they wanted to launch within the next year or two. That was supposed to be the most powerful console ever built. I'm guessing that will probably be dead now because Codemasters bought them, and why would Codemasters want to launch a console in this market? But that's probably dead for anyone that was like looking forward to the Madbox, which is an insane name for a console. But
yeah,
hey.
Yeah, so Codemasters, they ended up getting a whole bunch of people from the Drive Club team too, didn't they?
I believe so.
Evolution. Sorry, that just took a second to register.
Because if I'm not mistaken, like it's funny, like all the like European racing studios, they all have like lineages from other racing studios. So yeah, I believe so, because they I believe that was the Onrush team from last year.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, so that's they do have a bunch of people from various like studios based in the UK, and this is just another one that they've acquired. And I mean, they are the racing company. They kind of always been the racing company, and they're just adding more and more to their stable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think this is fine. Like, I'm not a huge racing fan. But anybody that's keeping these companies and these gaming racing games afloat, there is definitely a passionate fan base for racing games. I'm not part of it, but I saw some of the stuff like PlayStation was doing a lot of stuff on Facebook this week or last week with the GT event, and there's a lot of people watching that stuff. So I mean, there's still like Forza always gets a lot of hype. I don't really hear about a lot of driving games on PC, but. There's definitely like keeping any company afloat is great. Like this maybe guarantees a new Project Cars.
I think so. Project Cars has kind of built itself as like a
top name. 5 racing game. Yeah, top 5 race sim. Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually fulfill that PC need because Project Cars is on the PC. Yeah. It's a smart move from them. $30 million sounds like a lot of money, but for a studio with a name brand IP is important.
Mm-hmm.
That console. I never thought that console was going to happen to begin with. This just like confirms it for me. Mm-hmm. But at least it means I'd rather them get acquired than hearing like they try and do this console and then have to shutter
right
after doing it. So
maybe they seems saw like Stadia's launch and decided just to go like a different direction, that maybe it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, or maybe someone was like logically like there's no room for a third console, and if you're gonna do something you have to do a streaming service, and there's only room for Stadia, I guess, right now.
Yeah. So, all right. Like very brief news. But we can jump into what we're playing and watching. Mine's very short. I talked last week a little bit about Destiny 2. I kind of the season's coming close to ending. This first season of Shadowkeep. It's gonna be like December 10th, I believe, is when it ends.
Like so 2 months season? 3 months?
It's supposed to be 90 days. So they talked about like 4 seasons a year, but Shadowkeep got delayed 2 weeks. So that definitely messed with their time frame, and I don't think they really wanted to. It's somewhere you were gonna have to have a shortened season somewhere down the line with the delay. So I think they just decided just to get it out of the way. They're gonna have a stream on Wednesday the 4th. At like 10 a.m. Pacific time, so 1 p.m. Eastern, where they're doing some reveals for Season of the Dawn, which is the name of the new season, and hopefully that they really need to shed some light. And this is like I mentioned before, this is the first time that they're allowing people to purchase seasonal content a la carte. Before it was like annual pass or nothing, and this is like if you want to buy this season 9, you can. It costs $10. You get the new seasonal battle pass, which I'm sure they'll show off some of the armor and some of the weapons that are going to be given away. And then the thing that most people are curious about is like, what is this content going to consist of? Like, what is this season's activity going to be? What are the rewards going to be? Is it going to be 90 days worth of content? Because if you remove Shadowkeep from Season of the Undying, which is the current season that we're in, Season of the Undying is kind of bland. There wasn't a lot of stuff in there. The Battle Pass system, I think, went over really well in terms of using your XP and leveling things up. The Artifact went over relatively well with a lot of the different mods and things they put on there. There's some fuss about certain things as we get near the end of the season. There's been a little bit of fuss about certain things, and I think that's kind of what Bungie was hoping for. Not necessarily the fussing aspect of it, but them saying, okay, so this is really cool for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then the 5th, 6th, and 7th week, it's like, all right, well, this is getting kind of, okay, like, I'm not sure if I like this anymore, and then by the, like, 8th, 9th, 10th week, okay, this is annoying, and then they're like, oh, okay, now we're going to pull it out of the game. So, and, hopefully the Artifact has some brand new things in it, some different setups and changes. Right now there's a lot of things that were specialized for auto rifles and bows and submachine guns, and I'm hoping that doesn't just change over to different weapon archetypes, because that means like half the artifact will already be like done, and that really only means like the last column will be something that would have monumental changes. But we'll find out with the Season of the Dawn stream what that's about. I might try to put a thoughts video up after I see that, just to give people a perspective of if I think it's worth $10 and if this is going to be something that's going to show enough promise to keep the Destiny player's attention, which is very hard to do. The hardcore Destiny player to keep their attention. I was able to complete the raid this week and start working on some other things. I kind of got a little bit laser focused on trying to get up to 960 with some of the pinnacle drops and getting kind of screwed by some RNG in the game. But that's beside the point. So that's what Destiny is and what Destiny always will be. So it's annoying and frustrating at that point in time, but you move on and you move forward. So I'll see if I can get close. I think I'm like 956 overall or something like that, and that's the light cap for this season's 960. So,
just out of curiosity, since you follow like Destiny, like social media wise, do you know how like the health of like the Stadia stuff has been? Have you been hearing any stuff?
I've seen a couple things. It seems like it's growing a little bit more, and I think part of the reason is it is most Stadia owners right now aren't, or that I've talked to are kind of in the wait and see aspect with Stadia. They bought the Founders Pack because they got the controller and they got a new Chromecast Ultra that came with it. But the only 2 games up until I think like today that were actually playable as part of your package was Destiny 2 and Samurai Showdown.
Yes.
So if you had a Stadia and you didn't like fighting games, you had Destiny. So, and in terms of like a cross save aspect of it, your character just moved over, so you didn't have to like restart it. But Stadia players only play with Stadia players. So there has been I've seen some longer matchmaking queues, and just other times where people are like doing things, especially like when it was first coming out, like when it was, like that, there was a lot of people that were like, I was watching a couple streams, or seeing some people talk about it, and they were kind of just by themselves, like on the moon or on a planet, maybe one other person, compared to like when I play on PS4, there might be like 16 people in an instance.
I'm wondering, do you think they're going to open that up eventually, or they're just doing
I think if Bungie has their way, their whole game will be crossplay.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means Destiny 3. But I mean, we can talk about it a little bit later, because I haven't had a chance to mess with it yet. But I did have, I'll pull his name up when you're talking, so I don't mess it up. But I did have someone send me a Stadia Buddy Pass. And so I should be able to play Destiny. And I think in terms of, anybody I don't have the Chromecast or anything like that, and I've got a wired connection on my PC. If I can play it through my Chrome browser or something like that, then giving an impact of that is interesting. Everything I've heard so far is that when people are playing on their PC through their Chrome browser with like a wired connection and the controller's wired, they're not really having any latency problems. But when they're playing farther away from their router and trying to play in 4K on their TV in their living room, they're noticing a little bit of latency. So I haven't really seen anything like super negative about it, but it's interesting. Like I the more I've been thinking about Stadia, I've been looking at things, and the server aspect of it is very interesting to me, because like we talked about, like my PC last week is pretty much just another console. It's not super powerful or anything like that. If I can, if I have a monitor that can do 1080p or 4K, and I don't have to, I can use my SCUF or whatever controller I'm using at the time, my Evo controller, my SCUF, or even just a DualShock, plug it into my PC, play like the new Darksiders game that I purchased on Stadia without having to own a box, that I can just spend $60 on Darksiders Genesis and play it through my Chrome browser and not have to worry about, can my PC handle the specs or anything like that. Like, I'm very interested in it when that aspect of Stadia happens. But I don't know where, from a business perspective, where Google makes the money from that, other than like you've always talked about data.
Yeah, which Google already has your data, so it's like one of those things where it's like they don't need a service to mask that. Yeah,
Paris with Gamertag Radio, he had been railing on Stadia for months about who is this for, what are you doing, what is your business plan, who are you marketing to, what are you doing, why does this exist right now? Why do I have to pay to play your beta? And he got a buddy code as well, and I think somebody like lent him a Founders Edition, and he talked about it a lot, and he was saying that the technology works.
Yeah, the tech works from everything I hear. It's just there's nothing there to keep you.
Right, and then you have to pay the $10 a month to get the 4K, and then you also have to buy the game.
Yeah.
So it costs you $120 a month if you want to play games in 4K. It costs you $120 a year if you want to play games in 4K, and then you have to buy a $60 game.
Yeah, and they, they're doing like the 1 or 2 free games a month, and a lot of people were upset because there was only like 22 games at launch.
Yeah.
And then Tomb Raider and Farming Simulator were announced for December, and people were like, "What the hell?" They just bought them, but luckily Stadia is like gonna refund people that bought those 2 games.
Right. But would be really interesting to me in 6 months down the road, like as a game, like a powerful game like Cyberpunk, that we're gonna, Michael, if you play it on console, like, because you're way more hyped about that game than I am, but if you play that on console, you're gonna get the quote unquote lesser experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But if that game comes out on Stadia, which we don't know yet. I don't think it would, but I'm just using it as an example.
No, it is. I thought.
Okay, okay. If it comes out on Stadia and Stadia is live to where you don't have to own anything, you can just plug your controller into your current PC, open up a Chrome browser, and go to Stadia.com or whatever and buy Cyberpunk for $60 and play the game in 4K 4K 60 frames a second. Yeah. I think that you should buy it from there. Yeah,
for sure. But I have a data cap, so I can't.
Ooh, okay. Never mind. Yeah. I think they've actually said like 4K uses like 2 gigs an hour or something like that.
Yeah, and that's a RPG from CD Projekt Red, so that's gonna be like a 50 to 100 hour game. Yeah. So yeah, which sucks. Which is probably why I'm never gonna get Stadia.
Right.
Just because, just between me and Sarah, I think I used 400 gigs. And I'm not streaming any games. I mean, I live stream video games to Twitch, but...
Right. I think watching a game is different than playing a game.
Yeah. But like, having a Stadia would just destroy that cap for any, like, major game.
Yeah. So like... It's super interesting to me if you can remove that bridge of, like... I would be more apt or inclined to go get a nice, 30-inch, 32-inch 4K monitor or TV that I could play games on Chrome browser if I didn't have to own a box.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I could, if it can all be handled server side, I would love to give a company that kind of money that I don't have to, when the PS5 comes out, if it's $500, like that'll, maybe that'll just turn into an exclusive machine for me. But if I could try Cyberpunk out and not have to worry about, can I run it.com or performance issues like I've had with Jedi Fallen Order, which I think is partially my PC and partially the game. If that aspect can be removed, then I would invest in a better monitor to play games and to see how that that functionality would work. And I would love to give Stadia or whatever company is able to succeed in that process, my money, because I want to, be able to play at the best ability, I want the best experience at the best cost.
Especially when everyone's kind of paying the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Stadia could be that way. Like, everyone's paying, everyone pays like the same $6 price tag for these games, and some people are getting like an inferior version compared to others. So.
Yeah, and getting building a PC that can run, CD Projekt Red at high speed settings, max settings is $5,000, $5,000.
No, it's
$3,500.
You're probably looking at you're probably looking at like $900 to $1,500.
Okay.
Maybe $2,000, depending on like if you want to go at like the latest greatest card. But yeah, you're still looking at potentially over $1,000.
Yeah, and then it almost potentially being quote unquote outdated tech by the time you get it to your house.
Oh yeah, like when I got my computer, I got a 1060, and then like 2 months later they announced like the next line of cards, and I'm like, oh shit, so I'm back to like a 970 or like a 960. When you look at like the jumps, and it's like, oh okay, so I'm back down a generation.
And then watching, I watched the atrocity that is my Lions lose to the Bears with our third string quarterback. And we did Thanksgiving with my brother-in-law, my wife, my wife and their family at my brother-in-law's house. My son was in town for a couple of days. Thankfully, my father-in-law was able to pick him up and take him home, or take him back to the dorm. He'll be back in like 2 weeks for Christmas break, which is annoying that he's 6 hours away, and I have to try, again, thankfully my father-in-law has the time to do that, because that would have been like 24 hours in a car in in a 17-day span for me. So that's a huge help. I think I saw him for all of like 8 hours while he was home. So he spent a lot of time with his buddies and things like that, which is fine. That's what 20-year-olds do now. And then today I get my wife had it turned on. I don't know why. She said she was showing it at one of her classes at work, or at where she's teaches, and so I randomly watched like 3 or 4 episodes of Psych with my wife.
Cat's fighting me. Sorry.
Yeah. Cat's back. We're streaming and recording, so the cat's back. So.
Yeah, no, it was a different cat this time. The other cat is like waiting on a ledge, like right next to me. like waiting. It like waits to the last 5 minutes of the podcast to like immediately just jump in and try and get us some follows. But sorry, continue.
No, you're good. Yeah, so we started, randomly watching Psych back at the beginning of the I think we're on like episode 4 since they're only like 30-minute episodes. Haven't caught up on Mandalorian yet. Need to, but just didn't really have the time or the energy. But yeah, just didn't have a whole lot of time to play much this week or watch. I stayed up way too late Friday night, just messing around with things in Destiny, and not on purpose either. Stayed up like way too late. That really kind of messed up my sleep schedule for the rest of the weekend. But what you been playing?
Oh, for
other
me,
than nacho dip at work. So.
oh my God, yeah. Whew, that you want to talk about an easy way to piss me off is have me come in to work on Thanksgiving and be like, "Hey, there's food in the back," and then I'm like, "Oh, cool, that's new." Go into the back and I just see like a bag of nacho chips and like a sad can of beans, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck this place." Gaming wise, all of my coworkers, so like all the Black Friday deals kind of started on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So a ton of my coworkers ended up buying Call of Duty. So I've just been playing with different coworkers almost every other night, playing with a different coworker who'd like bought the game because it's like $40. Call of Duty games don't really go on sale that often. So a ton of Call of Duty multiplayer. We finished Dragon Age 2. Still going to say Dragon Age 2 is better than Dragon Age 1. We just started Dragon Age 3 yesterday, which I am told is significantly longer than the other two games. I think it might be as long as both games combined because they like went crazy with the world building with PS4 technology.
Uh-huh.
So I have that to go through. Then AfterParty, still going through AfterParty, really taking my time. Like I swear, like the last 5 days, I've only come home to sleep. Like that's it. Like work a 10-hour shift, come home, have like a dinner, and then like watch a little bit of Dragon Age. Like I get like an hour or two where I can like watch something or play a game, and I've been too dead to actually play a game. So it's just been watch Dragon Age and then go to bed, wake up, go to work, and then just rinse and repeat the last 5 days. But I was able to fit in, like another hour of AfterParty. Still loving that game.
You should stream that.
I should. I really should stream that. Maybe it'll motivate me to like actually like set more time away. Like this week, I'm working a ton, but I have at least like gaps. Like I'm not working 10-hour shifts again.
Right.
So I'm hoping to like stream more and actually play some games. You won't come home
and be gassed and be like, I just want to lay here like a dead vegetable.
Yeah, because there was like some days I'm getting home at like, even the days where I got home the last 5 days and it's like 6 o'clock, it's like I got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, right, and it's 6 o'clock at night. So I'm just like, no, I'm dead. Yeah, but AfterParty is really fun. The humor is just, it's hitting constantly. I'm waiting, and it's like, it does like offensive jokes in like good ways to where I'm just like, damn, I'm surprised they put that in the game, and I'm just enjoying the hell out of that. Then we'll probably talk about it. We have a Black Friday question later, but I've been kind of going like crazy purchasing Black Friday games. I ended up, I talked about it last week. I picked up like Medieval because the PlayStation Black Friday sales happened, like early last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I picked up AfterParty. But then I also picked up Man of Medan on disc, Aladdin, Lion King on disc, Nier Automata on disc, and Judgment on disc. So I'm not living up to the digital name because at one point I was, for like a lot of these games are on sale on PSN, but there's like a $5 like difference in the cost to where it's like I'm just gonna get the disc version. That's $5 cheaper. Even though it's so much more convenient to do the digital one. Like I seriously had the debate for like the Lion King of like, would I rather have Lion King and Aladdin on the console or on the disc? But then I'm just like, I'm just going to save the $5 and get the disc.
Right.
And also Disney's really good or bad at taking games off shelves.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an aspect to it. I just wish that it would just, allow us to, it already downloads the game like PlayStation does and allow us to like refresh the key or something like that. Like the rumor was, there was a rumor before, like with Xbox One when it was coming out, that it would only require you to periodically put the disc in there to verify the key. If that can, be something that can happen eventually, like that would be really good. But
yeah,
I get why it exists though, because the used game market is so huge.
Yeah, but GameStop will be gone in like a year or two, and then they can just maybe
Right.
Implement that. It's just crazy though that like, and I'm gonna buy some PC games probably today or tomorrow, and take advantage of Steam sales. But it's just so crazy that like, especially on PlayStation, they don't match like the store sales, and they should. Like, there's like no reason for them not to.
Especially, it's just we do it at work all the time. We match other retailers on our website on a regular basis. Like somebody's like paying attention to that stuff. Like if you're gonna sell Man of Medan for $13 or $17 on PSN, and you see that Best Buy has it for $10, like why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like all the games I talked about, like Nier was 20. I think it was 30 on PSN. Aladdin was 15, but 20 on PSN. Judgment, I think, Judgment and Catherine, I didn't end up picking a Catherine. Those were both 30, but they were 24 in store. To where I was just like, you know what? That's like $20 and I'm saving on these 4 games, so I might as well. And that's $20 that I can then use on like a Steam sale or something else. So it was like almost like a no-brainer for me.
Well, and I feel like the customer is getting smarter and smarter every year and every time this happens, and they're realizing that, like they're thinking like you, like is it, like they go they look for it to be digital first, so they don't have to worry about it anymore. They don't have to remember where the discs are. They don't have to, make sure it's up, like, oh, I got to find the disc because there's a patch, because I think you have to have the disc in the, to get the patch, right?
No, PSN will just automatically patch whatever like the last like 10 games or the last games you played in the last 30 days. Those will be patched whether the disc is in there or not.
Okay. But I feel like there's a huge missed opportunity if somebody's willing to, go what companies call like showrooming, and go and look for video games and see like, oh look, the box is cool, and they flip it over. They're looking at Judgment. Oh, this is something I really like. It's $10. But let me see how much it is on the PlayStation Store, and it's $17. Like that's a huge missed opportunity for them, because they might just buy it right there on their phone and walk out of the store.
And the Black Friday sale was like leaked like 2-3 weeks ago, so PSN could have changed and matched those deals. I do know the publishers do set prices, but yeah, probably like for me personally, for all 4 of these games, each time I was going to buy one of these games, I looked on the PSN store and typed the game name in, saw the price was a $5 difference. Still had the internal debate of like, is $5 worth the convenience of just like not having to put the disc in? And it's like, no, I need my $5. But every single one of those games I would have picked digital over physical. But I just wanted to, save money, especially like $5 is like a decent amount of money. So
yeah, especially for 4 or 5 games.
Yeah,
it's another game. So
yeah, the only game I played of the 4 that I mentioned was the Aladdin Lion King bundle, which is so well done. I did find some like bugs already. They have different filters on the games, like scan lines.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, so they have all that. But if you turn a filter off, there's just no game. Like it just takes the game just goes black, which is just hilarious to me. and I can't find a way to fix it. I might have to uninstall and reinstall it just because that seems like a really big bug to happen and not be patched already. But the museum aspects of the collection is fantastic. Like I watched like 2 10-minute like documentaries on the development of the game in there, and there was like 3 or 4 more for just Aladdin. And there's the soundtracks in the game, so you can just like go and play each track that's in the game. They have like original concept art, which look like they're actual scanned sheets of like concept art. And as you click through it, it'll give you notes on exactly what the design doc is and what all of it means. And there's like one section that had like 58 pages of like original like documents.
Wow.
That you can just go through, scroll through. It's like, it's really, really interesting to go through all that. And then they, like each game has multiple versions. Like, I don't know if this is only a PlayStation thing, because I noticed this on like Call of Duty. Like they won't call Xbox out on Call of Duty on the PS4 version. And I think the PC version will say like Xbox, PlayStation players. On Aladdin and Lion King collection, it says console N and console S for Nintendo and Sega, which I just think is the dumbest thing. I don't know if that means that they, like that was a publisher thing where they had to clear that when Nintendo or Sega, but it just seems so ridiculous that they didn't just put Nintendo or Sega. But looking at how Call of Duty handles like naming the other consoles, I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a weird Sony thing.
Right.
But the care that put into like just the special features of this game are really well thought out and really good. And I was just getting like the nostalgia kick just going through that, just because those are like two of my favorite like Genesis games. Little disappointed there's no Game Gear version of like Lion King, because I believe the Game Boy version of Aladdin's on here. So it just seems kind of weird that it's like, why did they skip the Game Gear version? Though I think the Game Gear version was pretty close to the Genesis version, so maybe just thought it was just redundant. But I'm enjoying messing around with that. Awesome. But overall, that's kind of it for playing. Like it's been a busy week. I actually did my Thanksgiving today, Sunday, as we're recording, just because enough people in my family work retail, so it's just like everyone was inconvenienced a different day in terms of like, oh, we can do Friday. No, we can't. This person's working. Oh, Saturday. Nope, that person's working. So we did our Thanksgiving on Sunday. Luckily, we did it early enough in the day, so I was back in time to record this.
Right.
Hopefully next week I'll have more games to play, or at least I want to play Man of Medan. Especially you can kind of play that game co-op, so I'm interested to do that. Yeah, passing a controller.
Yeah, I got 2 weekdays off. I think I got like a Tuesday and Thursday off coming up, so I definitely need to finish Fallen Order before my month of Origin premiere runs out. The goal.
You're gonna let that lapse. Watch.
We'll see how that goes. There's some other games on there I want to check out. Like Dead Cells is on there too, and I haven't had a chance to play that yet.
Yeah, Sims. I want to see you play The Sims.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I want to see you. I want to see you play The Sims.
So, and then like I think Halo Reach is coming really soon to Games Pass.
December. Is that December 3rd? Like I'm kind of scared because
like
I really want to play.
Or Tuesday.
It might be Tuesday. I got to look that up.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited, but I'm not looking forward to it just because I don't have time.
I've never played a Halo game.
I've only played Halo 2.
Okay.
Oh, no. Halo 3. That's the one that came with like the cat helmet special edition. I
Right.
played that. But I've been wanting to go through all of them because I know how important of a franchise it is. Oh my God, Master Chief Collection is December 3rd.
Now, is that coming to Game Pass on December 3rd?
Yes.
But so for the PC, though, I think we're only getting Reach. So
we're only getting Reach at first, and the rest are going to be added in chronological order.
Yeah.
So technically, Reach in the timeline is the first one, I believe. Yeah. Oh, man. I guess I'm playing Halo Reach this week.
Yeah, because, I only have it for PC. You have Ultimate, though, right? So you have it on the PC and the console?
I don't have the console. I just have it on PC. So,
it's just going to be Reach for you and I.
Yeah, it's just going to be Reach.
Is there any co-op in Reach?
I think so. There's always like some sort of co-op, so we might need to try that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm off Tuesday, so maybe after we download it.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the questions. Like I said, it's probably going to be a shorter show this week, but we'll be back with a regular show next week. I think we kind of went over this one already, but Chip, he said, "How did Black Friday? How bad did Black Friday suck for you guys? For you guys this year?" #ask Digital Days. Overall, like I didn't have to work on Thanksgiving, so I was fortunate. Michael's showing off a SpongeBob character on the video that he apparently purchased, that one that with the meme that they use with the different spellings.
Yeah.
The capital letter, lowercase letter.
Yep. The troll SpongeBob. Yeah, that's how my Black Friday went.
Yeah.
I bought that, and I don't remember buying it, but I got the shipping notification the next day, and okay.
Yeah. I didn't buy anything. Yeah, there's a lot of things I was looking at, but nothing really like jumped out at me. Like I've been thinking about a Switch. My wife and I were talking about a Switch. The one thing that I looked at, and my wife was like, "Well, if you want to, like, because there was the all digital, the Xbox One all digital. Wario had tweeted something out about some other company. I'm probably gonna get the name wrong, but Rakuten or something like that.
Yeah.
Had it with like a code, and he's like, the end of it is like $113, and I was like,
the deal's still going, I believe. It's the $150 SAD one, the all digital. That's what it's called. The SAD. It was $150, and then they had a 20% off thank you code, and then if you used a MasterCard, you got an additional $30 off. So it was like actually like $89 or something. But I think the $30 would like come back to you in like MasterCard points.
Right.
But yeah, you could, if you didn't have a MasterCard, it was still like
And that version came with like 90 days of Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I was super tempted.
Yeah, but I almost wonder, like, are we going to see something as we get closer to Christmas? You know, something crazy with it.
I think the all digital one's going to be 150 the entire time, so we're probably going to see that deal pop up one or two more times.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I feel like the priority right now for me, if I'm going to get a console, is a Switch first, because I can play almost everything I want on the PC.
That's what ultimately like decided it for me. I like did the thing where I kind of made a list of games I wanted, and
Tim,
all of them are PC.
Tim in the Twitch chat, do it. Join the dark side.
I'm halfway there. I'm on the PC Xbox Game Pass, and that's kind of enough for me.
I have an Xbox One X, Tim. It's called my Cyber Power PC.
The only thing that sucks is the Game Pass on Xbox is significantly bigger than the.
I don't need any more
Pass.
stuff to play right now, man. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. Especially I was looking at getting the EA Premiere, and then I'm just like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't have time. And it's kind of like, I mean, you're half joking, half serious about letting it lapse, but they're in the back of my mind. It's like, I want to beat Star Wars Fallen Order before this, you know, because I don't know if I would play something else going into December and Christmas and my son being in town. Like, I feel like EA would just get $15 of my money from December 15th to January 15th, and I wouldn't do anything with it. So,
yeah,
you know, and I can always just pick it back up in February or March when there's something for me not to, you know, when I'm like, hey, I want to check out something else to play, or they, you know, release something else that's interesting on, you know, on that service. And for whatever reason, like $15 a month isn't bad, but it's significantly more than Games Pass on PC. So,
which I'm waiting for them to turn that price up.
Yeah, and then like I got to figure out what I'm gonna do. Like I got to see, I got to look up specs for Darksiders Genesis. I'm with it being a top-down version. I'm assuming my PC will run that without any problem at all.
No, your PC can run Jedi at like mid to high. You're fine.
Yeah,
you're gonna be fine.
So because I love Darksiders, and that comes out like in I think on the 14th or something, 11th. But so yeah, I mean overall, from a retail standpoint, I think that at least for my company, like we had a really good Black Friday. So I mean, we were happy with, at least at my store level. And so I think that you kind of went over yours. You got crappy food, and then you had to work again the next day. So.
Yep, and then they actually ordered food for us, but it was crappy food. Yeah. Like it was crappy ordered food, so it was like, oh, great.
We had we went out and got a couple, you know, because I'm part of the management team. We went out and got a couple hams, and we made sure that we had like some, you know, pop and things like that for everybody. And then we just do like a potluck thing where people bring desserts and side dishes and everything in. And we set it up in like our receiving department with the big counters.
So luckily, some people in my department did that as well. But we kept it secret from the rest of the store because we did not have enough food to go around. So it was like 6 or 7 of us. It's like, no, we have food because we heard because our work did multiple shifts, you know, like first shift, second shift. So once word got out that it was just like chips and salsa, like the second shift people kind of like saved the day when they came in.
They brought a couple leftovers from their dinner.
Basically, yeah, because they actually were able to do it because their second shift started at like 8.
I mean, the main reason we do it on Friday, at least Black Fridays for us, is where my store is and where most, you know, like Michael's is similar to this, where our stores are located can be very heavily congested areas on Black Friday, and trying to go and get lunch, you know, somewhere else can be a little bit of a struggle and a challenge if you go out for lunch.
You only got 30.
Yeah. So, on Facebook, Kyle asks, any fun midnight launch stories to tell of any game/console? So, you got anything?
I have a couple, both from attending and like having to help organize them from my Target days. The one that I went to, I used to go to them pretty often when I was like a teenager. Like I remember going to the Grand Theft Auto 4 launch with my brother. That was interesting because it was just like a bunch of like super hyper teenagers trying to get an M-rated game, and everyone walked away with a game, so it was kind of odd. No one had their ID checked that night. But if you tried to buy the game the next day, we're totally checking your ID. But that midnight launch, there was no rules. One of my favorite ones is I went with my brother to a Call of Duty launch. I forget which one it was. It might have been Modern Warfare 2. There were some people dressed up in like the casual like Marine fatigues, like the jumpsuit ones.
Yeah.
And they were cosplaying actually, and they got to hop the line because the manager thought that they were actual soldiers, and the cosplayers didn't say otherwise. They just were like, okay, we jumped the line. And then actual soldiers came in and also got to hop the line and then had awkward interactions with the people that were cosplaying of like, where are you stationed? And I wasn't too far from them, so I heard like this whole interaction. And then a fight almost broke out once the real soldiers found out that the other people were like cosplaying in like really realistic uniforms. And like, it's not like a fun story, but it was kind of hilarious watching these like cosplayers like a couple minutes before midnight who were like basking in like the free attention they were getting immediately get shut down when like real soldiers showed up and said, take that shit off, and like kicked them out of the front of the line. And they like ran to their car, and then shortly after midnight they just come in like their regular clothes and like just casually quietly picked up their games and then ran the hell away before like the actual Marines like could do anything to them, because they were not denying that they were that they were Marines or whatever. They were just like going along with it because it was like, oh, they got to cut the line. So I got to see some cosplayers almost get their ass kicked at a Call of Duty launch, which, God, that would have been interesting to see how that would have went down. And then Target didn't always do midnight launches because it was really hard to do midnight launches at a Target because you have your electronics department and then you have the whole rest of the store. So organizing people to just come to the electronics department and not go to other parts of the store is really hard, especially our store's electronics department was like in the back. So they would have to find different ways to like funnel people in and to buy games, and they were always horribly organized. It was the first time they did one was for a Call of Duty game, because again, it seems like all Call of Duty games got midnight launches at a certain point before, like midnight launches weren't really a thing. And the Target website advertised that there would be free food, tournaments, all this stuff going on. And I remember telling my manager, I'm like, hey, everything in this ad, we're not doing any of this, are we? And they're like, no, hell no, we're not doing any of that. But it's advertised. People are going to be pissed. And my manager's like, no one's going to show up. And then like 50 people showed up and 50 people were pissed because they were expecting like free swag, all this stuff. And I think my manager just ended up like going to the other side of the store and getting like some candy bars and bags of chips and hoping that would like suffice. But then that did not. And people were like kind of demanding gift cards for satisfaction, which I don't know what the result of that was, because I immediately just like anytime someone complained, I'd be like, let me tell you my manager.
Right.
And just ran away, which I'm sure Dave loves when people do that.
Yeah, it's fine. After 20 years of it, I've just become numb to it.
Especially when it's like a teenager being like, hey, I'm minimum wage. You want to talk to my manager? Because I can't do shit for you.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of interactions like that during that launch. And then I did the Switch launch as well,
really?
which was actually pretty well organized. Like they learned from the previous one. The Call of Duty launch was like a year before that. Did the Switch launch was like actually pretty organized. And I just remember having interactions with everyone where everyone was just complaining that a lot of the Switch launch games were just old games on the other consoles. So it's just a lot of interactions with people.
It's not our fault. Like,
yeah, every time they're like, "What? This is all you have?" It's like, literally, this is all they have. Yeah. Like, do you want any?
The most common thing that's happened to me this weekend that I we always get asked those ridiculous questions as retail workers, of like somebody just saying something ridiculous to you or asking you a question about, oh, like no discount or no sale today. Like, no, that's the price that you see right there. Yesterday, Saturday, and today, Sunday, customers asking me, like, how much was that on Friday? Like, why does that matter? Like, why do you want to know that answer? You're not here. You weren't here, and I can't make it the Friday price, because if I could make it the Friday price, it would just be that price.
Yeah. Oh, man. I hate that question, especially when you get the people scouting, like, a week before Black Friday.
Yeah.
Who are just going around the store like, how much is that going to be Black Friday? And it's like, I don't know, fucking look online.
Well,
Like,
and
I
for the
can't
most
help
part,
you.
we don't really know. We don't actually know the sales. Like, we knew what promotion we were running, and like store-wide promotion. I'm like, it's on the signs up front, and they're like, oh, okay. And well, how much is it going to be? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I really don't know that until like Wednesday, like when I'm setting it up.
Yeah, like the only thing I can point people is like, hey, I don't know, Slick Deals might have the leak, but I can't confirm any of that's real or not because I have no idea until we put up the signs the
Yeah.
night of.
So that question used to always fascinate me. It's like it would be like a similar concept to me of you walking in and looking at like a 2019, Ford car and be like, how much is the 2017 version? Well, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't have it.
Yeah. There's just ton of that, and just or people like Saturday asking for Thursday's doorbuster, and it's just like, come on, like what do you expect? Like, it's a doorbuster because we don't have large
something I
quantities
will
of it.
say out loud to people that are listening, and it's fascinating to me. But I talked to a couple people and they were worried about it. I want to make something clear that people don't really realize or understand, and if you really think about it, it makes sense. And this might not be the case for your company, but most companies' registers can't physically change prices in the middle of the day.
Nope.
So, like, these things, like, before noon, what they're hoping is that they got 200 of said toy, and they're hoping that all 200 of said toy will be gone because they put that false sense of pressure on somebody saying you need to be there before noon. So... just letting everybody know that little thing. Like, if you're in line at 11:58 and you're in line for an hour and you get rang up at 12:58, it's gonna ring up at the price that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's those are usually as soon as they run out. The next time they get a shipment, it'll be at the old price.
Yeah, and if you randomly find that item on a store, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, it'll probably ring up at that Friday price. So.
Yep, because it's until the inventory hits zero for most stores. It will stay at that sales price.
For midnight releases, for me, I don't really have a lot of those. I can remember picking up a couple games at midnight, and but if anything, it's like 2 or 3, and I want to feel like it was like Uncharted 3, maybe. I did, and that was like when I was still kind of like, I might have been even before I was with PS Nation, where I was just kind of like reserving games and playing them just for myself, but. Some people know this, but I know we have a lot of new listeners as well. I sold gym shoes for 10 years. I worked in a very, very urban area of metropolitan Detroit that sold Jordans very, very well. Like, we'd get like 1,000 of them in, and we'd sell them out.
You probably do midnight launches.
Yeah, well, sometimes midnight launches, sometimes 6 a.m.s. Mm-hmm. Like, the malls would open at 6 a.m. And just like people breaking into the mall to stand in line.
Yeah.
To the point where we couldn't. Like, the one I vividly remember is that me and my boss, I was like 17 at the time, me and my boss and somebody else were opening, and we couldn't actually get to our gate because there were so many people in front of the gate, and we're standing out there, and people are like, are you going to open? I'm like, that's my only way in the store. Like, are you going to get out of the way? I mean, it wasn't like 5 people. This was like 60 or 70 people. And like to the point where to the point where my boss was like, we were figuring something out. He's like, I can't open this gate all the way, because if we open this gate pretty high, then they're going to come in the store. And for the most part, like you talked about controlled aspects, like mall stores are very small. And we would have physical control over the gate to where we would have like 2 cashiers and we'd have like 2 or 3 people helping, but you stood in the mall hall. And we let you in the store like 2 at a time or 3 at a time, and you could try them on, buy them, and then leave. And we were able to control it by the gate. And what I mean by a gate is if you go shopping in a mall, like if you've ever been in a mall when it closes, like they have these metal gates that go down.
Yeah, the garage door.
Store. Yeah. So I remember him going, okay, he's like, this is what we're going to have to do. He's like, I'm going to open the gate about 10 inches off the ground. He goes, Dave, I need you to slide under the gate and go open the back door, because they were going to go into like the service hallways, like where freight's delivered, so the staff could get in the store. Because we would have lost total control. We didn't have drawers in or anything. We didn't have cash pulled, so we're gonna walk out of the stock room with the cash drawer when there's 70 people in the store. No way. So, multiple times I can remember the police departments having to help us with shoe launches. People, fights breaking out. People getting body slammed through tables like wrestling style because they were like 2 spots in line in front of them. Companies have gone to a little bit more of like a lottery system now, like where you can pre-order and you also like get your name drawn from something to decide if you can get one of the 100 pairs that they get.
Which isn't a broken system. Jokingly, it's a super broken system they are now, but at least it's safer. Because I was gonna say, you're lucky you got out of the shoe game now, or back when you did, because it is like way worse now with those lines. I don't participate, but enough of my friends do. And it's either like, okay.
If I could tell you, man, like, because people learn, like, and we would have the shoes in the store 3 and a half weeks before they come out. We have, it's, being a stock person for a long time, like, and like, I'm not kidding. Like, I worked at a top volume shoe store right on the edge of Detroit. Like, it was the mall to go to if you wanted shoes. And we would sell through them so fast. But like when you are putting stock away and you're putting 1,100 pairs of Jordan 11 retros like on shelves, and it's just taking up 40 feet of your stock room, and you're walking down there every day and counting them every day. Like, I was responsible to make sure, like, yesterday I had 405 pairs. Today I only have 402 pairs. Like, where did my 3 shoes go? That's stressful. The amount of money that I've been offered by certain people that know and understand the shoe game is crazy. Like, people are like, hey, man, I'll give you like $1,600 right now if you give me these shoes today. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I've had that offer too for some video games, because we'll get a video game like at a store. Like when I worked at Target, we get it like a month in advance.
No, but Michael, I'm talking about a guy that literally has $1,600 cash in his hand in front of me.
Dude, so for NBA, one of the NBA 2K games, someone offered me $500 if I gave it to him like a day early. And I was just like, man, I'm paid minimum wage. This would be a pretty good severance.
Yeah. Or I can remember dropping deposits after like Jordan days. Because I would go, like, I was in high school. And I would get, I was responsible for, as, at 17 years old, like, I was responsible for like the shoe side of Champs. I worked for Champs Sports at that time, which is actually owned by the same company that Foot Locker is ran by. And that was I was responsible for that side of the store, and like I would help sometimes counting money. And like on those Jordan days, like I'd go into work at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, work until 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, sell 400 pairs of shoes, get commission on those shoes, and then I'd go to school. Yeah. Like, I'd go to class. I might miss first hour or something like that, and I'd go to class for the rest of the day. But the amount of commission I was making, like, even my dad is like, yeah, just miss math. So,
yeah,
he's like,
he did that math and was like, you can miss.
Yeah. But just the sheer amount of just cash and things like that would happen during those. And the fights and the pushing and the shoving and the half sizes difference. I think that one day that you and I just need to do like a Patreon episode of like retail stories. Like,
that's what I want to do for our first one. Is
like a bonus Patreon episode of crazy retail stories.
Because that guy who offered me like $500 for 2K like a day early, he didn't just ask once. He hung around for like a half hour, and that started at $50, and he worked his way up to $500. And I'm just like, dude, I literally cannot sell you this because our registers are street dated. Yeah. If my register wasn't street dated, I would fucking have that game in your car so fast. But yeah, I have plenty of retail stories from my Target days for sure.
Yeah. All right, so I didn't mean to take that off that way, but I didn't really. But as soon as I saw that question, I was like, the things started racing in my head about midnight launches of shoes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Stuart sends the question is, what game would you like to see at launch for the next generation consoles?
I was thinking about this.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, you always hear about something that you don't expect. Like, there was never, like, when they started talking about the PS4 launch, like, I don't think that anybody expected Infamous. Maybe we expected Sucker Punch to be doing something, but I don't think I expected them to be doing another Infamous. Nobody really knew if another Killzone was on the table at the time. Like, we're already looking at Xbox One or Scarlet, and that's going to be, Halo. So, I mean, I haven't played Horizon, but I mean, there seems to be a lot of people wanting to see a Horizon sequel. I think it would be a great time, at least from PlayStation's aspect, for it to be like another Spider-Man game or a God of War game, but it's very close.
That's what I was thinking. I'm just like, how Spider-Man like they already have New York built. You can't do Spider-Man outside of New York. Like I would feel like
Hmm.
that would be the hardest part. It's been 2 years. It would be so great if we get a Spider-Man within like the launch or the first year. And I feel like it's feasible, but probably won't happen.
I would be okay with it's the same thing with like Last of Us Part Two just coming out so soon. But I would be okay with another Lost Legacy style game from Naughty Dog at launch.
Hmm.
Like a story of like a Sully story, like Uncharted Sully stories, like style kind of thing.
That's what I was going to suggest. Would you mind if the Uncharted series just turned into like a smaller set of games, like
No, I don't think
away
so
from
because
Nathan Drake?
their ability to tell a story arc with a solid beginning, a middle, and an end, I think is fine. I haven't finished Lost Legacy. I started it, but I didn't finish it, so I can't really tell if that ended like super well or not. Um, but and then like I don't know enough about like Xbox stuff. Like I'm sure you would love
They're
to
going to
see
give you
something from
Halo.
Ninja Theory. Like I'm sure you would love like a I don't even know if it's possible, but like a second Hellblade.
I would love that, but we were talking about this last week with Xbox having the developers launching games like early next year that they just acquired for their current gen consoles. Just like I want Ninja Theory's next game, or their next game that isn't this Bleeding Edge or Bleeding Cool game, just because it's multiplayer focused and I want the single player game. I would love Ninja Theory to have like a Hellblade launch game, but they probably won't. I have a feeling we're really just gonna have to have a Halo at launch.
I would
Like
love
that's
to see because I didn't play Last Guardian, but I did play I can't think of the name of it right now.
Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus. I would love to see another Sony Japan game in that model.
Yeah, because Team Ico's not a studio anymore, right? It's a Sony
I think
Japan.
it's all Sony Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them do something because I really did enjoy Shadow of the Colossus.
I wouldn't mind seeing a new Fable game for Microsoft, but I don't know if that's going to happen. You keep hearing rumors that they're going to have a new Fable game, but they haven't really confirmed or denied anything.
And I'll still say it until it happens, but I don't even know if it'll happen. I want a 4-player Ninja Turtle game in the Batman Arkham style.
Which we might get a Batman announcement at Game Awards, but it's going to be from Montreal and not Rocksteady.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even.
Rocksteady has to release a game. Can we just get a Rocksteady game at the launch of the next console?
um, but I think anybody that's wanting like the huge heavy hitters like a GTA or something like that would be. I think that Rockstar waits to see how the consoles are working and lets them figure things out before they start going crazy on them. I don't see Rockstar being a launch company.
Now we'll probably get Red Dead 2 like a couple months after the console's launched, but that would probably be it from them until they decide they're tired of making truckloads of money off GTA 5 and want to do GTA
Tim
6.
wrote in chat, Aquaman by Rocksteady. Like if they're gonna go that superhero route, I would love them to do like I think Aquaman is not as big of a character like as I feel like any company like if DC is gonna let anybody do anything, they're gonna market like Superman more.
Wonder Woman would be the easiest one
Yeah.
probably to do, which there was rumors that they were working on a Wonder Woman game or a Justice League game, and then they pivoted to a Wonder Woman game, and then they pivoted back to Batman.
Right.
But man, I want the Ninja Turtles game from Rocksteady.
Wasn't there a character in the game of Ninja Turtles called Rocksteady? Or
Yeah, Bebop and
yeah,
Rocksteady. So it'd be perfect.
Yeah. So, our final question of the night: if you got a job in the gaming industry, what job would you like, and what city in the U.S. would you move to for the job? Hashtag AskDigitalDays. Did you think about this one at all?
A little bit. So I don't have a creative bone in my body, so I couldn't really work in the video game industry unless I do PR, community management, which would be pretty enjoyable. But you'd need a really thick skin because people on the internet talking about video games are vicious. So it'd probably be hell if I tried to move over to that side of the video game industry. But it'd be interesting to see, especially working with the developers and then trying to like work on a pitch to the general public. Always fascinated me. What I would really be interested in is you hear about the big publishers that hire mock reviewers to do basically like a full review so they can like gauge where they think their review scores will go. That always fascinated me because when you do the mock reviews, you don't have like a complete version of the game. They give you, you know, like a pretty early version of the game, like an alpha, and you kind of have to fill in the blanks of like, okay, and try and figure out where you think the game will be gauged by critics. And I feel like that's always kind of fascinating because I love seeing games early in development. That's like why I like, you know, going to like E3 events, because you get some games that are super early, like so early they shouldn't be shown publicly, and you'll get that pitch of like, hey, this is what we're working on, this is what we hope to achieve. And I love that aspect of the video game industry. So mock reviews, I think, are like a cool aspect. In terms of cities I would want to move, I don't want to go to San Francisco because it's too expensive. I already live in an expensive city, Chicago, so I don't want to go to a more expensive city. I like Seattle. Seattle's a really nice city, and there's plenty of like studios and companies, publishers in Washington. So the only place I can think is like Seattle. What about you, Dave?
I think that if I could, you know, ideally, like community management always sounds like something good, like interacting with the community, building things similar to what we kind of do now already. But if you really ask me, like, just like remove that aspect of game, like what I would want to do in terms of a game development, definitely in like in the live service games, it would be like investment. Like, I would love to be the guy that's talking to the people that are designing the sandbox or the reward system and be to the point of like, okay, why do I want to do that? What do I get for doing that on a weekly basis? Because like in a game like Destiny and Division and Anthem, it's like, why do I want to go over there? What reason do I want to go over there? What reason do I want to bash my head against the wall multiple times to complete a challenge or complete a task? Oh, you get this really cool like cosmetic gun skin. No, like, you know, like.
So you would want to work on game logic, kind of, like
not even necessarily game logic, but investment versus reward. You know, the reasons to continue to play the game, and some games nail it really well, like and it works. Like in a PvP game that you continuously play, like Overwatch, like a seasonal event is good enough for you to say like that skin is really cool, like that aspect really works, that rarity of that item works well. In a game like Destiny or The Division, you know, when you're like, okay, here's super balls ass hard content for you to do. That's you're no matter what you do, you're going to be under leveled for this encounter. Okay, that sounds like a really cool idea. I really like hard activities that, you know, you can't just plow through. What do I get for doing that? And the answer is like, oh, well, you get this little cool emblem that you can put next to your name that said, I did the thing. That's not good enough.
So it would be your business card would be Dave Hunt, loot advisor.
So, I mean, because I would love to, like, sit at a table with... And I was able to do it a little bit during the Bungie, when I got to review Destiny 2, and I got to talk to... Like, I had lunch twice with Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, and just to, you know, talk to them about, you know, certain things. And I'm like, oh, well, it's a... You know, I literally said to him, like, oh, that's a PlayStation exclusive exotic, so it's going to be crap, right? And he's like, what? Why? And I was like, because you can't make something great that all the player base can't have, and they're kind of like... Somebody's like, I can't believe you said that to him. And I was like, well, not...
How dare you be truthful?
And he kind of just looked at me like, and I was like, am I wrong? And he's like, it's a good gun. I'm like, I didn't say it wasn't a good gun. I just said it's going to be, because I got so much crap in Destiny 1 for not having a top tier, they had a top tier weapon that was locked from other players. It was exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Well, logic would be we can't have something like in the God tier, Ultra tier that's
right.
like tied up to an exclusive. So like the logic behind that is like sound.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, I don't care. This guy doesn't know who I am, and by next week he's gonna forget who I am.
No, the problem is you're that guy. You're that one Twitter comment that would haunt them for like weeks. Like they won't know your name, but they'll be like, can't believe that motherfucker said that. He'll just be drinking coffee one day, and just like, son of a bitch.
Well, because Destiny has a problem right now where... Okay, I'm going to go off on a small little mini tangent, sorry. So, you the moon is a new place in Destiny, and there's a really cool dungeon in Destiny that you can complete, and you get and your reward at the end of the completing the dungeon is a masterworked piece of armor. Having masterworked armor in the game is very good. It's also very expensive to do. It costs a lot of materials to masterwork a piece of armor. Materials that you only get from higher end content. So completing this encounter gives you a guaranteed masterwork armor drop. But the way that their system works is they have a lot of stats in the game of, intellect, how fast you get your super back, how fast you get your grenade back, how fast you get your melee back, how fast you get your health back, how fast you can move, and so there's like intellect, discipline, strength, mobility, resilience, recovery, all that stuff, and people are farming higher stat gear with the way the new armor is implemented. But since it's, for whatever reason, since it's moon armor, it can't drop above mid-tier stats. So it's like you made this really, really cool encounter that is almost like a mini raid and has a great reward at the end, but that reward is almost a guaranteed shit stat roll. Why would I continue to do it? So it's because it's moon armor, and the same thing can happen where you can complete the raid, which is pinnacle gear, high level gear, but you can get a low stat armor piece for completing the raid, which is one of the harder aspects of the game to do. But then you can go do a nightfall that you can do over and over and over and over again on level 980 and get exotic armor to drop that almost always drops in high stats, but it's only exotic. So it's like, why did you input that system in place for one activity, but then in this other one put another system in place that gives a fully masterworked item, but it's a terrible stat? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Dave, do you have a Reddit account?
No, I don't.
I feel like there's a thread for you. That'd be perfect.
I don't, because I think I'd get mad at people.
Yeah, I think you would.
I'd get banned on Reddit like in a day. So, but I at the same time, like, as I've learned over the years, like I try to be respectful to developers, because I've had some developers tell me, okay, I get what you're saying, and that's a really cool idea, but that's really fucking hard. So
I've had the same conversations with people, and they're just like, budget. It's like, okay, fair share. Yeah, cool. Give me the reason.
Darksiders Genesis, Darksiders 1, 2, and 3 all looked amazing third-person action games. I can't get the name right, but the company that made Darksiders 1 and 2 isn't the same one that made 3. Airship Syndicate. I'm probably getting that wrong, but the original Darksiders guys, and they THQ Nordic purchased them or made a publishing deal with them, and they showed off Darksiders Genesis, which is a top-down style. And the first question out of my mouth was why, and the guy that made Darksiders was like, cost. He's like, this is 60% less expensive to do than what we had previously done with Darksiders.
Yep, and the last Darksiders game, probably not the best Darksiders game. So this could be the direction to go.
Yeah. So,
what city would you want to go? Washington? Seattle?
I've been to Seattle once, and I was in a hotel the whole time.
I always say I really like that city, and
I don't hate San Francisco. Like, I really like when I go to San Francisco. I love walking around and that I can get anywhere in the city. I really like the city. I really like the variety of food and being like I've gone going. Stuff is very close. Like being able to walk to where the San Francisco Giants play, and I know that the 49ers play like in San Jose. The public transportation system, the aspects of that compact city really intrigue me. But yes, it is a very expensive city. If I had to say something based on where I've been or where I think would be really cool, it's just New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would fascinate me to just be able to live somewhere and just be able to walk to work and not have to worry about owning a car. I think that's the other reason like San Francisco always like fascinates me, because it's like, oh, my job's only like a 7-block walk. I mean, I hear really good things about like Austin, but I've never been to Texas. So
same.
And Florida's just too hot.
Nope. And it's Florida. It's Florida.
Right. All right. Excuse me. So those are all of our questions. Do you have a spotlight this week, other than that you just want to nap?
I just want to nap. I'm going to spotlight naps. Yeah. Naps are really good, guys. I think you should take one a day.
I took a nap today before we recorded.
Yeah. I haven't had it. I took a nap this morning. I was off today, but like 2 hours before I had to go to a family dinner, I took a nap and it was great. I was watching Disney Plus, fell asleep halfway through something. It was great.
For me, like I said, I said I would look it up. So my spotlight will be I'm going to attempt to stream Stadia game, and it's going to be Destiny because I'm not going to be Samurai Showdown because you're not going to watch me suck at that game. So, geez, this is bad. So, Auntie Simonuk, I'm sure I'm killing his name. He sent me the Buddy Pass code from Sweden. So I put a tweet out, and apparently he follows me, and he's a listener from Sweden. So thank you for sending me the Buddy Pass. It's 90 days of Stadia.
If anyone wants to send me a Buddy Pass, it's at the first MJC on Twitter. I will kill my data cap for 3 months.
So like there's a couple, like maybe I might even mess around with Tomb Raider if Tomb Raider is something I can play. I don't know how it's going to work in terms of like if I don't have the Ultra account, since I'm just like testing it. It might just be, Destiny and Samurai Showdown. But if Tomb Raider's on there, I might be able to check that out. So I will attempt to stream some stuff from Stadia because he sent me that code. So thank you for that. And then again, just to wrap it really quick, just check out patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. We will be retooling that. I still would love to hear your guys' feedback. We had a conversation thread in our Facebook group where we got some feedback. I understand that early access might not matter to some people. It may matter to some others. But I would love to see what you guys would want. Like, do you want it? Would you rather have a tier, just like a $4 tier, be a bonus episode of hearing Michael and I ramble about a specific game or about our retail stories? Is early access, is 48 hours for $5? Is that still too much? Is it not enough? Like, merchandise is very hard. I keep kind of going to that. Michael's like, how do you track that? When do you send it? So he's trying to bring all the logic into it, but tracking merchandise is difficult. Merchandise in general is, we're only a month old, so that could be way down the line long term.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not like against it. It's just it's a down the line thing.
Right. So I mean, right now I feel like like maybe we'll open the Discord up to everybody, but we'll have a specific Patreon support channel where you guys can, if you post in there, like I'll have notifications on, or Michael will have notifications on. So when you post in there, like we'll see it, and we'll be notified that you post in there, so that we can, respond to you. Like more of a direct contact to us. Do you want a tier in there where we play games with you? Presuming that we own the game. Any of those things. Like I would love. We've been asking for it. I would love to see any kind of feedback of. And again, acceptable feedback is Patreon's dumb. I'm never doing it. Like I get it. So I'm not saying it has to always. Everything has to be positive. You guys have been amazing. I continue to get messages. I got a message from somebody the other day, like, I didn't know that you changed and started. And I'm like, well, how did you miss it? But, so he's like, I got a lot of catching up to do. And looking at the data and everything like that, it's been fascinating and amazing. My apologies for not streaming very much this week. It's just hard on Michael and myself. And the next couple of weeks might be hard. But there's some really cool things coming in 2020. And, I've got some more hardware things to do. This came in. Michael can't see it. He'll see it on the stream in a minute. But this did come in from Evo Controllers. I met with them during E3 a couple years ago. They sent me an Apex controller. And at first I was disappointed because I thought that I was going to get something that I was very interested in. And I was at first disappointed, but then I forgot to turn it over. So on the backside, if you're not watching on the videos, I'm sorry guys, but it actually has our logo on it, our Digital Days Gaming logo on the back. So
I want one.
And this one is similar to some of the other custom controllers. This one doesn't have the paddles on the bottom. This one has buttons. So and you can map them, and it's not the long paddles. So they're actually more on where your hands naturally rest. And I can change out the thumbsticks and everything like that as well. And it has a little evil symbol on the light bar. So thank you to them. That's a PR contact that I reached out and said, hey, this is what I'm doing now. And she's like, cool. I'm on board. And I'm like, awesome. So I've been messing around with that just a little bit. But just to have something with our logo on it is very, very cool. But we'll see what I can do to maybe take care of Michael. So that's, again, a tribute to you guys, and us being a month old now, we're going to start sending out some more information to some other people. We wanted to wait until we had some things established and hit some milestones, and you guys have been monumental in that process. So hopefully you'll see the coverage start ramping up in 2020 as we, partner with some of these companies and relationships that we've built over the years. And no matter how good our relationship is with anybody, it's still a numbers business, and you guys are producing numbers that are hopefully good enough for these companies to be like, yeah, you know what, we want to partner with you. So, but anything that you guys can do to share it, leave a review. Like almost all of them have been 5-star reviews. And you only want stickers. My wife is in chat. She only wants stickers because she's the one that made the logo. But we appreciate everything that you guys have done to help grow the podcast, and just continue to share it. So, take the feed. I don't know if you guys have noticed, like on your mobile devices, you can actually click the share button, and you can send it out on a tweet or on a Facebook. Even just doing something like that, somebody might see it and be like, "Hey, I didn't know that you liked gaming," and or somebody that you follow that's mutual with us would have, just happened to be browsing Facebook or Twitter that day and see it. It's all great. It's all helpful and much appreciated. But I hope everyone has a great week. I hope Michael and I have a better week, and I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving if you celebrated it, and if not, we are 23 days away from the next holiday, or 20, from Christmas Eve. So, you got anything else, bud?
My White Claw's empty, and I open tomorrow. I think I'm good.
All right. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.